Have you ever been stuck and thought to yourself, I don't know what to talk about? I mean, I have to do a speech. I can't think of a topic. I mean, after examining your life, you think, there's nothing to say. Well, rest assured, I've had that problem at times. And usually it's because I think, I have to be the originator of all of these ideas. When in actuality, a lot of times you're just giving your response to life. And so right now, I'd like to just give you a kind of a flow of consciousness rather than a speech about where you get these ideas from, or how do I get my ideas from, and maybe that might be of help to you. And the first thing is, for me, a lot of times I think, oh, well, I'm the processor here. I have to take all this information and chew it up and deliver it. When in actuality, I feel like I'm more of a radio, as if there's some sort of message coming to me through my experiences of life, and that makes things a lot easier. Just because now there's not the pressure to be that original. Instead, just simply share. Right? You're not the lawyer in this case. I think that there's a famous quote. You're not really like a lawyer. You're more like a witness, right? And yeah, that made a really big difference. In fact, in my public speaking course, I teach something called improvised speaking or impromptu speaking, and I have a whole system which involves using templates and using ways of categorizing information to generate a lot of content. And then there's also a third secret, which I've kind of coined the Socratic rhetoric question. So let's talk about that. Like, what is a rhetoric question? What is a rhetoric question? It's a question that you ask yourself and you answer yourself aloud. I just did a rhetoric question, right? What is a rhetoric question? Um, and it's Socratic in the sense that you're creating information. If you know anything about Socrates, he was probably one of the greatest Greek philosophers, and he had this like schizophrenic approach to acquiring knowledge. He would ask a question, and then he would then contemplate the answer. And that was his way of finding truth. And so we can do the same thing. We can use this approach of combining a rhetoric question and a Socratic question to generate information in a speech without even any kind of pre-planning, right? And another example of a rhetoric question, a famous one that you might know of, is JFK's speech. He said, "Why do we go to the moon?" like that. And he said, "Because it's hard. It's hard. We go to the moon because it's hard." Right? He answered his own question. Okay, so where did this really come from? Well, I'll share this story, and it really will demonstrate where this questioning leads to answers. I remember even as a young boy, I was probably like under 13. And as you can imagine, I was very nerdy as I am today. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if we could have the grand unified theory that Einstein talked about, or had like the God particle? Wouldn't it be great if we could finally show ourselves and everybody else what is the truth about the universe? And then, I don't know why, but in the corner of my imagination, there was a response. So I asked a question, wouldn't it be great? And in the corner of my imagination, I heard this like voice in my imagination. And it was something like, I am not a mannequin. I'm not a statue. I am not an object that you can just strip bare, made to be naked. You can't just strip me. Besides, even if you did, You can't handle what I'm packing, baby. That was what the absurd and crazy response to my question in my head. But of course, I just thought that was silly. And then my quest or my desire to know the truth kind of inspired me to study things like physics, and I went to university to study computer engineering. And even in the back of my mind, I was curious, like, what kind of among all the stuff I was learning about things like electromagnetics and so forth, like, whoa, what's the truth about the universe coming out of here? And I stumbled over Gödel's one of two of Gödel's incompleteness theorems at that time. And if you're interested in Gödel's incompleteness theorem, I actually have a video about it in Facebook. I think you'll like it. But I stumbled over it. And the big idea here is that the notion of truth is greater than the notion of provability. And as I stumbled over it, I made the same conclusion that actually Stephen Hawking's made, that it's quite possible that the most fundamental thing in the universe may remain unprovable, may remain invisible, and ultimately, it might even be a statement of faith rather than something that we can prove. And as I was thinking about that, months later, I mentioned in another video in my Facebook page um, that my friend passed away. My friend Richard passed away. And so I was seeking for answers, and I went and read the book of his faith. And that's when I read the words, or was reminded of those famous words that come from I think the Beatitudes, and it goes something like, "Ask, and it shall be given. Seek, and you shall find. And knock, and it shall be open unto you." And I think that's what we need to do when we're looking for something to fill our minds, a word to fill our mind. We need to ask, we need to seek, we need to knock. And the message I got when I asked, and I sought, and I knocked, um, was this. It was that answer again. And it was, you want to objectify me. You want to strip me bare. You want me to lay me bare like a dead body, like an object. But you should be asking for permission. You should be seeking. You should be knocking. And I will reveal myself. I will reveal my character. And I don't know, it sounds crazy, doesn't it? But that's the response I had to my question. Wouldn't it be great if we could expose the truth? And what I got back was, I will not be exposed. You can't handle what I'm what I'm handling. I mean, think about that. If would you like it if someone forcibly exposed you? And if they did, I mean, hey, you probably wouldn't want to see what I'm carrying. It would probably hurt your eyes, right? You couldn't handle it. You know, like the truth, like a person, cannot be exposed. That's very undignified. Instead, and it's own way, in its own timing, in its own with its own volition, it will reveal itself. And normally, if you're a person, you don't want your body to be exposed forcibly without your permission. And most of the time, the most important thing that you want to reveal is your character. That was my answer. That was the answer that was given to me, I feel, right? Um, Through this whole crazy asking and seeking and knocking. Again, that I'm not an object. I cannot be objectified. And instead, there's a character that wants to be revealed. A character that is kind. But more than that, a character that can answer. A character that can create something out of nothing. A character that can turn on light in the darkness. And even a character that can fill the emptiness of my mind with some meaningful words. So, in conclusion, if you're ever stuck wondering about what's the meaning, is there anything for me to share? Ask yourself. Ask aloud. Seek, and you shall find. Because undoubtedly, you have a life that's unique, perspective that no one else has, a path that you walk that is special. And your story is something that no one else can tell. So go ahead, ask, seek, and knock. And I can't wait. I'm so excited to hear what you have to share. Let me know what answers, what responses you get. Feel free to post them underneath or let me know. Just text me or see. Okay. Well, thanks again for this chat. Again, another kind of stream of consciousness type response rather than a full speech. But you can see how this exercise can also be useful in preparing you to give a speech. So, have a great night, and I'll talk to you soon.